inside to a fresh episode of the Weekday Wake and Bake. I am Processor Sky, joined by Rachel. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Beautiful. Beautiful as ever. I'm doing great. I meant you. I got this brand new porn stash I'm rocking. What do you guys think about it, Roll Gangsters? Woo! Super excited to be live for another episode of the Weekday Wake and Bake here in the beautiful city of Las Vegas, Nevada. It is March 2nd, March Madness, and we are trying to get on into some of the latest and greatest in cannabis industry news here on today's Canna News Thursday episode of the Weekday Wake and Bake. So, I am really excited. We have 3 news stories from across the country, from Florida, from the White House, and from Texas. So, got some really diverse cannabis industry news.
I'm all over.
But before we get on into it, it's time to get this show started, Roll Gang. Another episode of the Weekday Wake and Bake in store on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and also Instagram. Every weekday morning, around 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, Rachel and I go live, and we either smoke or not smoke, talk about some cannabis news or randomness news, try to get some motivation on Monday. Absolutely love seshing with the Roll Gangsters because after all, we are blessed to have awoke. It's a great another opportunity for us to have a smoke.
It is. It's the law.
So what's your favorite sponsors of the show?
My favorite is the Rolling Spoon.
Yeah? What's that thing do?
It is an all-in-one cannabis multi-tool that helps you procure your cannabis and roll a dime every time.
Yeah, so basically I have all this cannabis ground up in my grinder, and I'm going to use my Rolling Spoon Cannabis Multi-Tool to help me procure my canny bee into my paper and roll a dime every time. But this episode is also brought to you by WWnB University, the first ever cannabis college and the place to go if you're trying to boost your cannabis knowledge. This is an extremely trendy and exciting industry to be in right now, Roll Gang. The cannabis industry in 10 years is not going to be what it's like right now. It's a baby infant industry, and we're all just trying to claim our stake in this budding industry before it blows up. What a beautiful investment of our energy, time, and knowledge to go to WWnB University and claim your stake in this budding industry. You only live once, Roll Gangsters, so let's fucking get our shit and learn about what we love and do what we love on a daily basis. So we've got some movement in this country that's going to allow us to help us to keep the industry moving forward, hopefully allow us to consume this beautiful plant in a couple extra states, maybe even a little bit of federal news. But without further ado, let's ask Rachel what the first piece of cannabis industry news is.
The first piece of cannabis industry news that we have for you this morning is that Floridian Advocacy Campaign collects 420,000 signatures to legalize adult use and send the bill to the Supreme Court.
How about that? What an iconic number, too. 420 groups of 1,000 people signed this bill to legalize cannabis in the state of Florida. Can you imagine that mass of people? What support? What resounding support for such an amazing plant. Florida collected 420,000 signatures in support of cannabis legislation. Absolutely unbelievable feat by this Floridian advocacy group. It's honestly such a culminating experience, such a culminating industry, and it's really proving to everybody that it's collecting all types of people, all walks of life, and combining them for a cause. Do you think that it should be legal in Florida?
Well, I mean, personally, I think it should be legal everywhere, and to let each person decide if they want to consume or not. Because, like
Totally.
we've talked about before on the show, it's not for every single person. It kind of has different effects to people depending on the mental space that they're in, even past traumas that they've been through, everything. But for the people that it's beneficial for, which, I mean, there's 420,000 people that signed that. That's basically 500,000, you know. So, and
that's a lot of people.
That's bigger than the stadium's worth of people, you know. It's insane. So, I believe that it should be, and I hope that it can be, because it can not only help the economy in the towns and the small places that it would become legal, but it just allows people to have freedom of choice, and I feel like that's important for people to have.
Yeah, I mean, we like to, you know, it's just absolutely egregious that I'm smoking this joint right here simultaneously to somebody in an illegal state or an illegal country, because honestly, we're one of the most like foresightful countries. Some countries are still have the death penalty for cannabis, and it's absolutely disgusting.
Like, in a way, that makes me guilty for smoking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it makes me feel guilty that I am able to sit here and be able to just
smoke a
smoke
joint
it without feeling like I'm afraid for my life, or feeling like I'm going to get thrown into jail or never see the people I love again because I'm consuming a product. And there's people that's how they're living their life just from one unlucky situation, and that really breaks my heart. So there definitely needs to be change, because that's not okay.
Agreed completely.
Everybody should be treated equally.
I agree 100%.
If you look at the track record, you can see everybody is not treated equally, and that is not.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad. But I am definitely going to continue to smoke this joint in honor of all the people who are sitting in jail because of it, because I know that's what they'd want me to be doing.
I think they would want to get out, honestly.
Definitely.
But they're definitely happy for you.
Open invite to everybody in jail for cannabis. Come through Las Vegas. I'll smoke you out. Rachel will roll you up a nice joint, and we'll smoke legally. What's the next piece of cannabis industry news, though?
Next piece of cannabis industry news is the U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland shows accountability for federal policy, saying he and Joe Biden are working on it. But what does that mean, though?
Well, like, honestly, not much, probably. Honestly, not much. But I think it's newsworthy just because in the White House, we need cannabis to be brought up. We need it to be a topic of discussion, fresh on the president's mind and the attorney general's mind. Mm-hmm. It's great to hear cannabis being brought up as a topic of discussion anytime by the attorney general, the president, you name it. We're just kind of trying to keep the ball moving forward. And in order for us to do that, it's not always going to be a new piece of law that drops. But in order for the new law to become a thing, we kind of have to talk about it first. Mm-hmm. And I love that the Attorney General says, shares accountability, says he and the President are discussing federal legislation, because before cannabis gets descheduled from a Schedule I substance, non-medical, non-helpful, Schedule 1 substance, which is completely egregious. Before it gets descheduled, we're going to need to have a lot of conversation. So, really excited to hear that Attorney General Merrick Garland is communicating with the president about the industry still. It's not just getting lost in conversation.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's just important for there to be dialogue?
I think that it's important for there to be dialogue, but my question is there really that dialogue? Or are they just saying that to keep people happy for the moment, to give them a little bit of hope?
Well, I think either way. Like, even if he is lying about it, don't you think, like, people asking over and over and over, like, he's not going to be able to forget, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're here, we're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Yeah, really, probably not a whole bunch of news. Just always great and newsworthy to hear a federal official talking about cannabis, because it's federally a Schedule 1 substance, you know. The feds could come to Las Vegas and arrest us. You know, we're working completely legally. They could come in medicine dispensary and take every gram we have. The federal government can, just because it's illegal in the United States. So every time they bring it up, it's kind of like a little 1% notch out of the accountability, you know? As long as they bring it up, because they're not sitting there talking about legalizing all these hard drugs. It's just cannabis, you know? So good to hear cannabis is in the topic of the discussion in the Oval Office. How about it?
That's not a nice smoker.
A nice, say that louder.
Why?
She just said the Oval Office would be a nice smoke room. Rachel and I hotbox in the Oval Office soon, shooting an episode of the Wake and Bake in the Oval Office in 2025.
Come on.
2025, I'm putting it into existence. Manifesting that shit. So we got one more piece of cannabis industry news here to go over on today's show. But gotta give a quick shout out to the sponsors of the show, because they make it happen for the Weekday Wake and Bake and help out the Roll Gangsters along the way. Oaksterdam University is the first ever cannabis college. There has never been a place to learn about this unbelievable plant before Oaksterdam. So go claim your stake in the Harvard of Cannabis, Oaksterdam University. Use promo code Rolling Spoon for 10% off your tuition. Go to bud tending school, horticulture school, cannabis business, compliance, you name it. You can learn it at Oaksterdam University, the first ever cannabis college to boost your cannabis knowledge. And last but not least, here on this Can of News Thursday episode of the Weekday Wake and Bake, we have some great news from Texas, but gotta give an awesome shout out to Sky Is saying come visit in Florida, Sky Soul Yoga, Chuck _XIX also thinks it should be legal everywhere. Yo, the chat champ of the show, Chuck _XIX this morning, we are all supporting this legislation movement and trying to keep this dominoes falling. Try to get in it federally legal, and yeah, super excited about these pieces of cannabis industry news. We have one more left. What's our last piece, Rachel?
The last one is a panel of lawmakers in Texas hearings, or I'm a little bit confused the way that's written, but a panel of lawmakers in Texas hearing testimonies to decriminalize statewide.
Yeah, that's
so
basically
they're
it.
hearing testimonies.
Yes.
Okay, from people.
Correct.
To decriminalize the state.
To decriminalize cannabis statewide.
Okay.
So right now, the only place in Texas I think you can smoke cannabis without straight up going to jail is Houston. So, like, honestly, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure Houston's the only place in Texas you can legally have a bag in your house and not actually go to jail right away.
Why?
It's a Schedule 1 controlled substance in Texas still. Decriminalized in Houston only. But Texas lawmakers are hearing testimonies from cannabis advocates and cannabis dissentfuls, I guess, not consentful, to see whether or not they should decriminalize the plant statewide. You know, the biggest state in our natural country here in the United States, the most against cannabis, maybe could be getting decriminalized?
That would be huge.
They say everything's bigger in Texas. Could the cannabis industry be bigger in Texas?
I guess that's a possibility. You just have to decriminalize it.
We're going to see. Texas working on decriminalizing cannabis, the federal government having conversations in the Oval Office about it, and obviously our favorite, Florida, talking about having statewide legislation, some really great and exciting movement in the cannabis industry. Such an awesome time to be alive, experiencing the growth and expansion of this massive industry, helping people countrywide. 420,000 signatures in Florida alone. So really excited to see such enthusiasm for such an amazing plant. What about you?
I agree.
Yes, ma'am. And also Chuck_XIX agrees it should be legal everywhere. I mean, basically, it's just the flow at this point. But shout out to all the Roll Gangsters tuning in on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You guys are all the shit. Love session with you guys every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Rachel and I are going to go chill out and watch some of this NFL Combine that's coming on today. Watch all the young athletes work out and try to get themselves a job in the National Football League. How about it?
I'm excited. Makes me feel old though, because they're all like...
They're younger than us.
Yeah.
By a couple years. The oldest player at the Combine...
Puts into perspective a little bit.
We're older than the oldest player at the Combine.
Yeah, that's not okay. That's not okay. That hurts.
It's not okay.
I'm really happy for them, really excited for them to get their future started and hopefully get into the NFL, but it's like a little...
We're old now. I'm using my hair to cover up my forehead wrinkles. Oh no.
They're not. They're not.
Oh no. Please, stay with us,
Every
hairline.
morning,
Stay with us.
This morning, he looked at his hairline and just said, "Stay with me. Stay with me." I thought that was funny.
Stay with us, hairline.
Yeah. Your hairline.
Oh! Fucking hairline. Mwah. Love you, Roll Gang. Have a great Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow for Fuck Yeah